A communist dictator just vowed to fight America to the last drop of blood. President Trump responded with a single brutal warning: make a deal before it's too late. No more oil, no more money, zero. This isn't just tough talk. It's the most dangerous moment for Cuba in 30 years, and it could reshape the entire Western Hemisphere. Make sure to stick them to the very end of this video, because what Trump is really demanding will shock you. And the Cuban regime's scalp appears to be his ultimate prize. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness with breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. There will be no more oil or money going to Cuba. Zero. That's what Trump announced in all caps just literally hours ago on Truth Social. He went on to explicitly demand that Havana, quote, make a deal before it's too late. This isn't random. Since the United States captured Nicolas Maduro on January 3rd, American forces have been intercepting Venezuelan oil tankers bound for Cuba. For decades, Cuba survived on 50,000 to 100,000 barrels of Venezuelan crude per day, oil that kept the lights on, the hospitals running, and the communist regime afloat. That lifeline has now been officially and totally severed. Cuba remains on the state sponsor of terrorism list. The embargo is ironclad, and both Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio himself, the son of Cuban exiles, are openly predicting regime collapse. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel did not blink. He fired back on X. No one dictates what we do. He declared Cuba a free, independent, and sovereign nation and vowed Cuba does not attack. It has been attacked, ready to defend the homeland to the last drop of blood. Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez escalated further, calling America a, quote, out-of-control hegemon that threatens global peace. The regime claims U.S. sanctions have cost them $7 billion since 2022 and insists that they will indeed find other oil suppliers. Now, who that would be is rather hard to say. Russia could be a supplier, but they don't want to upset the United States in the midst of negotiations with Ukraine. Iran has its own internal problems. So despite all the bluster coming from Cuban officials, here's the brutal reality. Since Maduro's capture, no Venezuelan oil has reached Cuban ports. Zippo, none. Rolling blackouts now reportedly plague Havana. Food shortages are critical. The economy is in a free fall. When Trump says before it's too late, he is not bluffing. Cuba is basically terminal. It faces its worst crisis since the fall of the Soviet Union on December 25th, 1991, interestingly, right around this time of year. But what's so key to get here is that this isn't just about Cuba. It's about the entire communist axis in Latin America. For 25 years, Cuba and Venezuela operated as a single authoritarian bloc. Venezuela supplied the oil, while Cuba supplied the entire system of political repression, intelligence, and social control. Cuba sent upwards of 20 to 40,000 security personnel, doctors, and spies to Venezuela, such that when U.S. forces captured Maduro, they killed a reported 32 Cuban security personnel protecting him, 21 intelligence officers, and 11 military troops. So it wasn't just an arrest. It was a total disruption of this Marxist archipelago in our southern hemisphere. Now that oil is cut off. Cuba is isolated. Russia is distracted with Ukraine. China is tired of Cuba's unpaid debts. And there's no Soviet Union to save them. As we could see, Trump's words are rather ominous. Make a deal before it's too late. So why does a tiny island of 10 million people even matter that much to America? What's so important about Cuba? Well, because simply put, Cuba is the geopolitical cork in the Caribbean. From Cuba, you control shipping lanes carrying $1.5 trillion in annual trade through the Gulf of Mexico. It's a perfect surveillance point for drug trafficking, human smuggling, and Chinese influence operations. In fact, today, Cuba hosts Chinese intelligence facilities just 90 miles off the coast from Florida. It trains and equips narco-terrorists across Latin America, and it serves as the transmission belt for communist ideology throughout the hemisphere, from Venezuela to Nicaragua to Bolivia. If the regime falls, America gains a strategic ally in the heart of the Caribbean. If it survives, it continues to be a permanent base for America's enemies. But there's something even more significant going on. The geopolitical realignment happening in our hemisphere is indicative of an even deeper, more basic political realignment happening here at home in our own nation. And it's precisely that political realignment that's now reverberating around the world. Wait until you see this. Take a guess at what this is. This is absolutely amazing. I'll give you a hint. The older we get, the less we hold on to heat. So imagine being stranded in a broken down car in the middle of the night and having to walk for help. You know, a simple rainstorm, even in the summer, that can mean hypothermia. And so that is where this little beauty comes in. I'm going to bring it out. I kid you not. This is a full-size, heat-reflective emergency sleeping bag that actually fits into the palm of your hand. I've never seen anything like it. It's absolutely amazing. And you heard it right. I mean, it's an emergency thermal sleeping bag that can keep you warm down to Arctic temperatures. It's waterproof. It's windproof. It's bright orange, as you could see, so you could be spotted in a disaster. And look at this thing. It's like 7 feet long, 3 feet wide. It's incredible, but it fits in your glove compartment. I've never seen anything like this. Sierra Madre, the genius creators of this emergency sleeping bag, made it small enough to fit in your pocket, your glove box, your junk drawer, your go bag, whatever. But it packs such an amazing punch. I sweat in it anytime I get into it. It's amazing. And I made sure to get a whole bundle of them for all my family to keep in their glove compartments. And now you can too. This week, the Patriots over at Sierra Madre have to clean out their warehouse before a new shipment arrives for the new year. So they're marking these puppies down over 59%. So you heard that right, 59%. Click on that link below and get one each for your whole family and save a bundle before the sale ends. Oh, and I almost forgot, the 10-pack, it ships free. So you're double your savings. So don't wait. I mean, these aren't available in any stores or big box retailers. And the only place you can get this warehouse clean out deal is if you click on that link below right now. The geopolitical realignment that's happening in our hemisphere is actually an extension of an astonishing political realignment happening inside our nation. Latino voters are shifting right, way right. And by shifting right, they've become part of a new political coalition ready to not only take back our own nation from hostile forces within, but take back our entire hemisphere from hostile forces without. The data reveals a striking phenomenon. Cuban American voters in particular demonstrate unprecedented support for aggressive United States action against communist regimes in Latin America. Among Cuban Americans, support for regime change is overwhelming. A 2020 FIU CUBA poll found 73% of respondents support policies of the stick designed to promote regime change by putting maximum pressure on the Cuban government. This hardline stance has intensified under Trump, with a record 68% of likely Cuban-American voters in Miami-Dade backing him in 2024. The community's traditional Republican alignment has only strengthened, with 60% supporting the U.S. embargo, the highest level since 2007. This support extends beyond Cuba to Venezuela. Among Venezuelans living abroad, a significant portion of whom reside here in the United States, and most particularly in Florida, 64%, a supermajority, support U.S. military intervention to topple Maduro, according to Atlas Intel polling. Now, the political implications for this political realignment are absolutely profound. Cuban Americans and Venezuelan Americans concentrated in the electorally rich state of Florida have become a reliable GOP voting bloc precisely because of their uncompromising stance on Cuban and Venezuelan policy. Their 68% support for Trump in 2024 represents a dramatic shift from just 35% support in 2016. This transformation stems from Trump's fulfillment of long-standing demands for regime change, converting a community that once valued engagement into hardline interventionists who not only want to win back our nation from hostile leftist forces here at home, but they want to win back our hemisphere from those very same hostile leftist forces as well. The data is clear. Cubans, Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, they overwhelmingly support these liberation efforts, which of course only deepens their loyalty to Trump and the new populist GOP, which only in turn further emboldens Trump to liberate the whole of the Western Hemisphere from forces hostile to the United States. Again, what's so key here is that electorally speaking, Trump doesn't need the support of the entire, national Latino community. He just needs those living in a state that's long been recognized as a bellwether for national presidential elections. He who wins Florida almost always ends up winning the presidency. And you can't win Florida without winning the Cuban and Venezuelan vote there. Trump knows this. And he knows that the Latino vote is a central leg in his three-legged coalition made up of working-class voters, Gen Z men, and Latinos. The tariffs are satisfying the working class. Unions are the biggest supporters of Trump's tariff policies. Trump's efforts at restoring affordability and his war on wokeness are satisfying Gen Z men. And now, his mass deportation efforts, which are actually very popular among Latinos, and his quest to liberate Venezuela and Cuba from radical Marxist regimes, promises to only further solidify support among a Hispanic voting base that is increasingly abandoning the Democrats. If he does that, it appears we won't only have rescued our own nation from anti-American leftist forces, we will have liberated our hemisphere as well.